Hi, and welcome back. I'm Tammy B. Welcome to Real Life Advice by Tammy B, Episode 2. As I told you in the episode previous, Episode 1, I have all kinds of stories. A lot from my childhood, a lot from adolescence, which would be pretty much childhood, parenting, and so many from my school that I can't even share all the ones that would be really, really funny to share. But I do have one, I guess it had been my third year of teaching. And what I need to explain is back when I started teaching, the classroom I taught in special ed was called Behavior Disordered. They since have changed the name to Emotionally Disturbed, but they did not change the definition of it. So for several years I taught BD kids, and then it went to ED kids. But they were self-contained, and they were not low-functioning kids. They were very highly functioning, and most, sad to say, statistic-wise, back in 94, 80% of them would be incarcerated sometime in their life. So they were mainly boys, and man, when you'd get a girl in that classroom, she was a spitfire. But anyway, and so, out of a population, it was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, out of a population of I'm going to round 650, 700 kids, I dealt with the 12 to 15 students that nobody else wanted to deal with. They were really not the nicest students. And for what it's worth, many didn't have much of a life at home, but they were certainly not making much of a life for them acting the way they did. But I treated them with dignity and respect as much as I possibly could. But in my classroom, they were always, I'm going to kick your butt, I'm going to kick your butt, and they were always about to fight. Because when you get that many students in a classroom with that many personalities and anger issues, there's going to be some fights. Well, they knew that they would get in trouble if they fought, because you can't assault anybody. So my tactic, not a very good one, I just want to throw this out here, not a very good one, but back in the early 90s, my tactic was to say, do it, throw down. And so you'd have two in each other's face about to throw down, and then when the teacher gave them permission to, they'd be like, no, I'm not going to do it, I'm backing off, blah, blah, blah. So this played true numerous times in my years of teaching, first few years of teaching, because they were always fighting. And they were always going to kick each other's butts, and they were always using ass. They were, I will kick your ass, and blah, blah, blah. They weren't discreet. They had quite a vocabulary. So, with that being said, I thought it was a pretty good weaponry that I had to stop fights. And like I said, it worked 100% of the time in my classrooms. Well, as a teacher you have special duties. And I happened to have bus duty one day after school. And when I first started teaching, our building was 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So you had 3 different grade levels in the bus lobby, all waiting to go home, catch their bus. Well, I hadn't always dealt with normal kids, because throughout my college, I worked at a facility for mentally ill kids. So most of my knowledge came from dealing with kids that had some mental issues. So I'm going to assume that these were, quote, normal or regular education students. They started pushing and shoving and mouthing each other out on bus duty. And I went to break it up, and they were MFing this and da-da-da, and going to this mama and your mama and doing all this stuff. And I was like, I was like, you know what? Let's just throw down right here. Same tactic that I'd used numerous times in my classroom with some pretty bad students as well. I mean, when I mean bad, I mean muscularly. They were tough kids. And these 2 boys looked at me and they were like, all right. And they literally went and threw down to where they were beating each other down. Had to be, of course, I tried to help break it up. Got a couple punches to the gut, and the principal came around, and the assistant principal. But no, I never fessed up to that it was that I gave him the permission to do it. So, you know, many of my friends say that I should just let the lesson be known and everybody take a lesson out of whatever my story is. But just if something works in one situation, it's not always going to work in all situations. So please take that into account when living your life. And this is Tammy B signing off, wishing you nothing but the best in life. Shoot for your dreams. Goodbye.